What you're going to hear from my voice here soon is passion. Because why? You're going to make me relive my damn story. Just push yourself harder than we did yesterday.
Right.
Push yourself a lot harder than we think you can push yourself. And stop giving up when you feel a little bit of daggone pain. But a lot of us have a way to realize what we have decided to do with our lives. And it takes a great sacrifice, and that sacrifice could be your life. And that you have to be able to do that to become a warrior. If you go into combat scared, you can be scared, but you can't be so scared it makes you afraid to fight. I live like a monk, and that's how I still want to live, is like a monk.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a straight shooter, all this stuff, but I have a story to tell, a hell of a lot more. I had a very abusive father. I grew up in a small town called, in Indiana. People talk about being bullied now like somebody calls you fat. They sprayed it, they spray painted on my car, we're gonna kill you. I got called the N-word my whole childhood. I was born in Buffalo, New York. Okay, so he was a very abusive guy. Like to the point that when he would drink, he would get very abusive.
Okay.
He would drag my mom down the stairs by her hair when they get in fights. So he also did the same thing to me and my brother. I was pretty much the weakest kid on the planet. You build self-esteem, I had zero. And I cheated on every daggone test. So I was very slow in school. And I had a lot of excuses to not make a damn thing of myself. Cheated on every homework assignment. And I had nothing to grasp growing up. I had no mentors. I had no motivation. I had nothing. And I said, that's what I want to be. I want to find that kind of strength because I had none growing up.
Right.
I found hope. I said, let the whole world create who I was and how I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first mistake. I can actually get some self-esteem. I can actually gain some manhood and be able to look at myself in the mirror versus being this coward that the whole world had created. I saw myself as the weakest human being on the planet. And I wanted to transform that into the hardest man God ever created.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind was never like, God, why me? Why this? Why that? He laid the platform for me to be exactly who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I love God. I'm a God-fearing man. You see the mindset switch? Versus me saying, woe is me, they called me nigger, they did this, they beat me up, they put nigger, we're gonna kill you on my car. Well, the platform is set. I changed my thought process versus kicking rocks, poopy pants, the world's against me, people are against me, and I flipped it. I turned it upside down on top of it. So most people who are even hearing this today, as we get talking, a lot of stuff I say, they're gonna say, man, you must not love yourself, you must not have peace. No. And what you can hear out of me is me going back into hell, becoming the devil to get out of hell. When I made the decision, the conscious decision to become a warrior, I realized that my mentality had to be very different. And what that meant was I had to put myself through a bunch of crucibles to gain the warrior mentality. Some guys are born with it. I believe that. Some guys are born because they have some great childhood and their dad's tough on them and they build this mental toughness and this discipline in this kid. I didn't have this, so I had to design a crucible to put myself through to gain this warrior mentality. God had to put some people on this planet Earth to do very dangerous things to protect this country. Love it or not, I'm one of those people. I was building that callous mind. I was building a warrior mentality by putting myself in the crucible of hell. Blisters, shin splints, stretch fractures, peeing blood maybe. What are you gonna do now, David? How are you gonna get the next 70 miles? A lot of people set these great goals, like they want to do Badwater, or they want to do an Ironman, or they want to be a millionaire, or whatever they want to do. They have these great goal lists, and they're amazing. Goals are important. But what we don't do in life, which is why people quit in SEAL training and they quit in these different things, we don't look at ourselves in the accountability mirror and take care of the number one thing before you start a goal. Let's take care of our insecurities, because they're going to surface when you put yourself in the crucible and you're suffering. You may be the best physically fit person on the planet. If you haven't handled your mind and handled your jealousies, your insecurities, whatever happened to you as a child and in between, they're going to surface at the time when your mind starts to question, why the hell am I out here in this race? What keeps a person in the fight is having purpose. Having purpose. Leave the ego at the door, because the ego will kill you every time. You will always quit. So that's why I've been able to get through things, because I know I was a scared, uneducated kid who stuttered and had zero. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and hold myself accountable for who I wasn't and who I wanted to be. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. I was on a journey to see who David Goggins was. And that journey took me in some of the hardest areas a human being can even imagine. And right now at 41, I'm the happiest person on the planet because, you know, I had to climb Mount Everest several times just to look down on my life to see what hell I came from. And that's what kept me going through all this stuff. Like I envisioned myself going through, like when I was a young kid and they called me nigger all the time. My dad beat the hell out of me and I had no self-esteem. I had this vision of if I can make it to where I want to go. Imagine when I look back on my damn life, how proud I will be. And now I'm here. I'm able to look back on this life I lived that many people will never understand because why? When you're passionate, they think you're crazy. And you can't even explain to people why you're doing or why you did what you did because you found your purpose. And once you found your purpose, you can't really explain it to normal people because they don't understand passion because they live everyday life just going, not really finding their purpose. So I become a foreign language to people. So they put me in the category of you're just crazy. No. I'm passionate. I found my purpose in this life. Don't get it twisted, man. I did this to be proud of who I am as a human being. And most people live a lie. I hated the lie I lived. And the lie I lived was I was nothing, and I knew I was nothing. And my journey, I wanted to be something. I wanted to be proud of who I was, and it took me that direction. Why didn't you quit, man? You could have killed yourself. It's not about that, man. I'm not out here to kill myself. You know, don't get it twisted, man. It was, honestly, at that point, it became a whole new challenge. The challenge was always to do my best. The woe is me mentality, which we all still get, even though you can be very successful. I reach in and I say, oh, this is my childhood. And this is what I did to overcome that. I would remind myself, because a lot of times when you're in hell, you forget how great you really are, because at that moment, you're suffering. So you don't think about the great things that you've done. I take time to really calm my brain down when it's stressed out and remember where I came from. And say, okay, no, we can do this. So everything I talked about in my life, it comes at a price. It comes at a huge price. When you will yourself, so when you don't have ability and all you have is will, something's gonna give. And what gives is your internal system. So my adrenals are shot. So your adrenals are your fight or flight. Like I discussed, I was scared of everything I ever did in my life, and I had to find something much deeper than myself to pull out, to turn myself inside out. And how I did it was I used a lot of my adrenals. And I had to find this to get through all this pain and suffering and fear. And basically, my adrenals have shut down, all this. And everybody just say, God, is it even worth it? Sure is, people. Sure is. Because that is my trophy, not the sickness. I knew what I was doing to myself when I was doing it. I found what I wanted to do, but now I'm getting healthier. But so I stretched out because while my hip flexors got so tight, your psoas muscle. Your psoas muscle is what tightens up when you're in a fight or flight situation. I was in a fight or flight situation all through my deployments, jumping out of airplanes, being in scary situations, doing things I hated doing was my whole life pretty much. That psoas muscle got so tight, it started pulling on my T12, collapsed my spine. You have a bunch of nerve endings going through there. I can go all day talking about this. I got severely, very sick. So basically what I did was I started this crazy stretch routine. And I literally have healed myself through the discipline I had. And what people won't believe is I got to a point where I stretched out for 8 to 12 hours a day. And it went from that to 6 hours a day. Just push yourself harder than we did yesterday.
Right.
Push yourself a lot harder than what you think you can push yourself. And stop giving up when you feel a little bit of daggone pain. But a lot of us have a way to realize what we have decided to do with our lives. And it takes a great sacrifice, and that sacrifice could be your life. And that you have to be able to do that to become a warrior. If you go into combat scared, you can be scared, but you can't be so scared it makes you afraid to fight. What you're gonna hear from my voice here soon is passion, because why? You're gonna make me relive my damn story.